Hello, welcome back to City Stutters. My name is Jess, and today we are going to geek out over seeds together. But before we get into that, I have a personal favor to ask all of my viewers. If you guys help me to get to 100 subscriptions, I will start giving away free seeds for a contest. I have this whole package of seeds that I accidentally double ordered. We have tomatoes, we have peas, we have beets. We have a whole package here of seeds that I accidentally double ordered, and you guys, this is worth a lot of money. So if you guys can help me get to 100 subs, I will ship some of these seeds to a few contest winners. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the country, as long as it's in the lower 48 states, I will ship these to you for free if you guys help me get to 100 subs. So share our channel on social media or with friends and family who you know would appreciate and enjoy learning about gardening and homesteading in the city. Now, for those of you who know me well, know that one of my favorite activities is to sit down with a best friend and geek out over seeds. Tammy, I'm looking at you. I love to talk about seeds. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love gardening. I love all aspects of gardening. And when it comes to the springtime, I get so excited to get these seeds in the ground and get planted. And it's so fun just to look at all of our options and to see that we don't have to be stuck with one tomato variety or one lettuce variety. There are so many options out there, and it is so exciting and fun. So I'm going to show you guys what I am planting in my garden for my spring garden. Look at all these beautiful spring seeds. There are a few things I want to go over with you before we get into the spring seeds. One thing is the companies that I buy from. Now, I really love Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. They have a wide variety of different seeds that are rare and you can't find anywhere else. So you go into your Walmart, you're not going to find these kind of seeds. I also like M.I. Gardener. He is a YouTuber who also has a seed store, and I've purchased a lot of his seeds, and we'll talk about a very special one that I purchased from him earlier this year. It's a tomato seed. It's very cool, and we'll talk about that later. But you guys, if you can't afford Baker Creek or M.I. Gardener or any of these more expensive seed companies, you can always go to your dollar store and pick up dollar seeds. I mean, food is food. So I have been known to go to Dollar General when they have sales at the end of the year on seeds and get 50-cent packets. So you know, a radish is a radish no matter if you get it from Baker Creek or if you get it from the dollar store. If you see a seed packet labeled GMO or non-GMO seeds, that's a gimmick, because no seed that you're going to buy in the store is going to be genetically modified. Now, of course, there might be some residue from, you know, like you get your corn and they cross-pollinate, and I know that GMOs have gotten into the organic, so-called organic corn, so I'm not talking about that. I just mean that if you see non-GMO, that really doesn't mean a whole lot. So it's only for the farmers. They have to sign contracts. So you as a home gardener are not going to run into that problem. So don't worry about if it says non-GMO or not. That doesn't matter. So also, let's talk about seed expiration dates. So most seeds will have an expiration date on them. And you know what? I have this pack right here. Let me show you. Leeks. I ordered these leeks probably about 8 years ago, I would say. It's been a long time. These sprouted this year. If you see an expiration date, most of the time, you don't even have to worry about it. I would never throw away seeds after my first year if I don't use them. I always save all my seeds. The only seed that you need to worry about kind of going bad or not, you don't have as good of a sprouting rate on, would be your onions. You need to probably be buying those every year or saving them off of your onion plant, which is what I did last year. These are the lettuce seeds that I'm growing this year. As you can see, there is a wide variety. I love variety when it comes to my lettuce. And I'm not going to even pretend to be able to pronounce some of these names, so I'm just going to show you this way. These are Baker Creek seeds. Yeah, look at that one right there. How do you pronounce that? And these are M.I. Gardner seeds. So I have already sprouted these lettuce seeds indoors. However, it is time for you guys. If you live in my zone, I'm in zone 5. Our last frost date here in my specific city is May 15th. So that can differ. So make sure you guys know your last frost date. That is more important than knowing what zone you're in. So if your last frost date is May 15th, like we are, you guys can start planting these directly in the soil. As soon as you can start working the soil, you can start planting your seed. And I should clarify here, when I say that you should start planting your seeds now, I mean your spring crop, not your summer seeds. They will die. You have to wait till May 15th to plant those plants outside. So we're talking planting spring crops now. Here are the kale varieties I am growing this year. Blue curled Scotch kale. This has always been a really great kale in my garden every year. It's been tried and true. I love this kale. This is new to me this year, dwarf Siberian kale. I ordered a green stalk planter, which is a vertical planting system, and I would like to try this dwarf kale in the pot. I also have red Russian kale, and I did this last year as well. This is great. I've saved this for kale soup. It makes huge leaves, and I just wash it and freeze it, and we have had kale soup all winter long from last year's kale crop that we grew. Next, we have Swiss chard here. You guys, I love Swiss chard in the garden. It is so beautiful. Look at these colors. It makes your garden just beautiful. These are great in salads when they are baby greens. You can throw them in your salad and they're really tender and delicious. I also save it and freeze it and use it in casseroles. And we had so much last year, I just didn't even, I had it coming out of my ears. I didn't know what to do with it all. So I have a whole freezer full of this too. So if you want something that's gonna produce and produce and produce, this produces all summer long too. Swiss chard's a great option. Sorry for the glare, guys, but here we have cilantro. Did you guys know that cilantro is actually a cool weather-loving crop? It's always in your Mexican food and your tomatoes and your salsa, and you associate it with summer, but it actually prefers the cold weather. So we start our cilantro in the early spring. Here we have slow bolt, which is really nice because as soon as the weather gets hot, these go to seed. The next seeds we're going to talk about are beets, and beets have quickly become one of my favorite crops to grow. I have started fermenting them, and I use the fermented beets on my sandwiches, and it's so good for your gut health, you guys, when you ferment your veggies. So I've been doing that with beets, and I just love it. You can see we have two different types here. I really like the bull's blood beets just because they give you that dark, rich color that you expect to get from a beet seed. This would look really pretty on a salad. Now, I have not started these seeds indoors. These are something you're going to want to plant directly in your garden. Root crops do not like to be moved and transplanted, so I just go ahead and throw these seeds directly into the garden. Next we have radishes. Now this is one of the ones I was telling you about. I got it at the dollar store, 2 for $1. I mean, come on, you can't beat that price. And then this is an M.I. Gardner radish, purple plum. They're just pretty. I just like beauty and variety in my garden. Most people either love or hate. Probably one of the most hated garden vegetables, I would guess. But I learned that if you roast these in the oven, it takes the bite out of the radishes, and it is a great potato substitute. They are one of the fastest growing, from seed to harvest, vegetable that you can get. And not only that, you can make them taste delicious if you roast them in the oven with a little salt, pepper, and oil. Also, with radishes, you're gonna wanna direct sow these, not start them in. All right, let's talk onions, you guys. As you can see, I marked 2022 on these packets. Next year, I probably will try to sprout these again, but I will not get a good rate of seedlings with these like I would if I purchased them the same year. But I can't stand the thought of throwing away that many seeds, so I am going to save it. I'm taking a risk, but these probably won't sprout as well as they did this year. Also, if you're living in my zone, or if your last frost date is May 15th, you should have started your onion seeds indoors mid-January. So here we are in March. It's way too late to buy or to start onions from seed, but you can go to the garden centers and order sets of onions already sprouted. And when you are looking to buy onions, if you live in the south, you're going to want to buy short day onions. If you live in the north, around where I live, you're going to want to buy long day onions. If you don't get the correct onions for the zone that you live in, you will get small bulbs on your onions, or they may not bulb up at all because they depend on daylight hours to bulb. So if you've never purchased your own onions or tried to grow them, make sure that you pay attention to the area you live and that you are getting the right types of onions. I'm gonna put leeks in with the onions because I also had to start this mid-January. It's too late to start these from seeds now. I don't think you're gonna get a good crop if you try to do these now. They take a really long time to grow. So when you decide maybe next year in 2023, you want to start onions and leeks, do them together mid-January if you live in my area. So one thing I do want to mention before we move on, if you are a gardener and you are very interested in being sustainable, one good practice to get into is saving your own seeds. And I'm just going to use this as an example. I saved these from last year. One of my onions went to a flower, and inside the little petals, after it dies back, you have these little black seeds, and you can save your own onion seeds. You can save your own lettuce seeds if they go to flower and then go to seed. Try it out. Try to save your own seeds. If there's something wrong with the supply chain and you can't get a hold of seeds, if you learn to save your own seeds, you have another level of protection. Cabbage is easily on my top 5 favorite things to grow. I don't know, maybe I can't even give you a top 5 favorite thing to grow. But I love cabbage because you can do so much with it. You can make it into sauerkraut, you can bake with it. We love to fry up cabbage with some bacon, and it's so good. So these are the types of cabbage I'm growing this year. Red acre, golden acre. I like variety. I can't just go with the red or the gold, I need both, right? I went with a late flat Dutch. I like to go with a late and early variety, so here's my early Jersey over here, and then Nero di Toscana. So these are the cabbages that I have sprouted indoors, but if your last frost date is May 15th, you can plant these outside. It is not too late to plant your cabbage. The next spring crop I started indoors is celery. I just have one variety here. There are different kinds you can get. Celery is a little more difficult to grow. I tried it last year and it did okay. I let it go to seed and I actually saved some of the seed, but I also have this left over from last year. If you're a new gardener, maybe, if you want to try it out, you can try it out. It's just a little more difficult, and I'd advise you guys to go online and look at YouTube videos on how to grow celery successfully, because everybody says it's a harder crop to grow. So I'm going to put kohlrabi and turnips together because I kind of use them the same way. Again, kohlrabi I think would be in my top 5. We are on a keto diet and we are not allowed potatoes. So as you can imagine, I really miss potatoes. And this is one of those things that you can dice up, you can peel them, you can dice them up and roast them in the oven, and they taste almost exactly like potatoes. And there are no carbs, you guys. If you want a low carb alternative to roasted potatoes, go with kohlrabi. I would highly recommend you grow this in your garden. It is so good. I've used it in soups in place of potatoes, and you can barely tell the difference. It's really good. In the store, by the way, I've been buying kohlrabi this winter because clearly I don't have any to pick fresh from my garden. And in the store, it's like $5 for a little bundle. So you'll save yourselves a lot of money if you grow your own too. The other thing I'm growing are turnips. Now, I don't love these as much as kohlrabi, but I do like to roast them as well, and they are also good for soup. So Another vegetable that is delicious in different baking and cooking options. Something else I want to mention about kohlrabi. My mom and dad love kohlrabi, and what they do is just slice it and they eat it raw. They put a little salt on it and they just love to eat it raw too. It's really crunchy, it has a mild flavor. If you've never tried kohlrabi and you're gardening this year, I really recommend you try kohlrabi. This is an itty bitty teeny packet of Brussels sprouts I got in the mail, and unfortunately there's not a seal on the top, so excuse this mess. I've already sprouted some this year, but our family loves roasted Brussels sprouts, so this is something else I'm trying for the first time. I've never grown Brussels sprouts before, so maybe I'll bring you along later in the summer and we'll see how they're going, but I am trying these for the first time. Here is something else I've sprouted in my garden this year. Now guys, this is another one of those tricky vegetables to grow. Broccoli and cauliflower can be tricky. With cauliflower, if you don't cover the flower part up with the leaves, they can change a weird color in the sun. They're also very prone to pest pressure. And if you don't, especially with broccoli, well, I can't say for cauliflower, it's my first year growing cauliflower, but with broccoli, in the past, I have let it go too long and then it just flowers and it's useless. So these are not as easy to grow, but I am growing them this year. I'm trying it out. I would like to master all these really difficult vegetables to grow. Timing is everything with these. So if you plant them too late in the spring where it's too warm, they'll just go to flower and you won't get a chance to get much out of them. So timing's everything. Now is the time to get working on these. Now I do want to be aware of not scaring you guys away from growing certain crops just because I say that they're harder to grow. It's just if you're a first-time gardener, maybe start with the things that you can immediately get success out of. So expand your territory as you get better and better. And if you want to try broccoli and cauliflower on your first year of gardening, by all means go for it. There's no rules to say that you can't. I'm just helping you understand that they're not as easy to grow. And maybe again, go look through some YouTube videos on how to grow it successfully before you decide to grow it in your garden. Here we have asparagus, and I am so excited about asparagus, you guys. So something I do need to tell you is that when you grow it from seed, it takes about 3 to 4 years before you can really harvest. This is a perennial, so it comes back every year. It's really not a good idea to harvest your first, second year. They need time to establish the root systems. You can also buy asparagus crowns. They're like the root part, and you can plant them again. Don't pick them your first year. They need time to grow and get established in your garden. But this is a really great crop that just keeps giving the love. You just keep tending to it, and you can have it in your garden for like 15 years. So this is one of those that if you're a new gardener, get this in right away so you can just benefit for years to come. Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm kind of embarrassed to show you this. These are my peas. Look at how many I have. My name is Jess. I have a problem. I'm a seed hoarder. I mean, come on, look. You can eat purple peas if you grow them yourself. How can I not buy all the peas? Here's some dwarf gray sugar pea pods. So you just throw those on your salad, just the whole pods. I have some sugar snap peas and Alaska peas. So here pretty soon, I wouldn't recommend to plant these in the garden until April, probably if you're in my zone. But coming up here pretty soon, these are gonna go in the garden. Also, some people do start these indoors, but they grow so fast, you guys, as seedlings. I would not recommend you growing them indoors. They'll get all tangled up within each other and you don't want them to get root bound. So these are really one of those things you want to start outside in the place where they're gonna stay, whether that be in ground or in a big, large pot. Next up are carrots, and again, I have a seed hoarding problem, but how can you not love all the varieties? Look at this black carrot. How cool is that? This was actually a free seed, so I guess I don't have to feel too bad, but look at yellow. These two are my kids' favorites to grow. These grow faster than your big long carrots, and they have their own little gardens that they like to grow these two varieties in, Littlefinger and I don't know how to pronounce that, but these are great seeds for kids especially to grow in their garden. And then I'm going to try a bigger carrot this year. This one's a little bigger. This one's bigger too, but I want to try a big carrot so I can use it for soups and stir fries and things like that. So this will be Mama's carrot. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Those are the spring crops I'm growing this year, and I will get into summer crops in the next video, so we'll do a part 2. I just don't want these to get too long and bore anybody because, my goodness, I don't want anybody to be bored by seeds. So we will do part 2 next. Thank you for joining me today and geeking out over seeds with me. Till next time.